Welcome to the How to Foam Roll video. I am very excited about this video because it means I get to spend some time foam rolling, and hopefully the goal with this video is to do it kind of side by side virtually with each other. That way, if you are someone that struggles to get your foam roller out and get on your foam roller, then you can just pop this video on. You can just turn this video on and we'll go through it side by side. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first thing that you're going to want to do is grab a water bottle, because in order for us to move fluidly, which is the whole point of any sort of self-myofascial release, stretching, that kind of a thing, is to move fluidly, to be able to move without any kind of restriction. And a big part of that is how well hydrated you are. So again, in order to move fluidly, you need to drink fluids. So I have my water bottle here with some ketones in it. I'll throw the link to the ketones in the description. That's something that I've been experimenting with and that's helped me a lot. Not really the point right now. Anyways, grab your water bottle, grab your foam roller. I got this one pretty inexpensive on Amazon. There's all different millions of types of foam rollers out there. You don't really need anything fancier than this in order to get the job done. So we're going to start from our feet and work our way up our body, spending about a minute on each body part. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and start with our right calf. And I'll sort of walk through the benefits of why foam rolling is beneficial for athletes, and why it's something that athletes should be doing every day, every other day, often. Often is a good word. What you want to do is spend a little bit of time just with the foam roller rolling up and down, trying to get to every part of the muscle. And this does a couple different things. So one of the things that it does is that it brings blood flow, which has nutrients that you need to repair to damage muscle. So when we work out, we damage our muscle. We have like all these little micro tears, and the blood flow helps bring some of the nutrients necessary for repairing that. Plus, we're also searching for any sort of trigger points or tight spots. So I have one right on the inside of my calf, and once I find it, I'm going to spend about 30 seconds just on that spot. Doesn't need to be a whole lot of pressure. If you want more pressure, you can always layer your other leg on top of your foam rolling leg. But you're going to spend about 30 seconds there, or if you don't want to sit and stare at your watch, you can take 8 to 10 deep breaths. Nice job. You can also move the part of your body that muscle controls. So your calf is responsible for pressing your foot down. When you flex your calf, you press your foot down. So you can kind of do that a little bit as well. All right, we're going to move from our right calf to our left calf. And the reason that we're starting at the bottom of our body and working our way up to the top is because we want to stimulate the lymphatic system, and anyone who knows anything about recovery boots, like those Normatec boots, that is the whole reason why they start at the bottom and pump up to the top as well, because the lymphatic system is responsible for removing waste and inflammation and cellular waste and stuff like that. So we want to imitate that same thing where we're pumping, get rid of all that bad stuff and not push it down to our legs. So once I find that spot on my left calf, which is actually on the outside of this guy, I'm going to sit there for about 8 to 10 breaths. Again, it doesn't need to be a whole lot of pressure. The reason I like using my breaths to count is A, I don't like staring at my watch, and B, using your breath is actually a better way. You're less distracted, and you can tell when that spot starts to release. So it might not need 8 to 10 breaths, it might need a little bit more than that, but simply going by time doesn't always indicate that your body is relaxed enough to let that muscle go. All right, so now that we have finished our calves, we're gonna flip over and get the front side of our shin. This one's a little trickier because it requires a little bit of balance, but same thing, we're gonna go back and forth on our shins, and then try to isolate one, that anterior tibialis. This is one that people forget about because, quite frankly, it's a little awkward to get to. Alright, so I found my spot. I'm going to sit and hang out. You can have your other leg resting on the foam roller as well because it can feel like a lot of pressure putting down since your entire body is over the foam roller, which doesn't happen in a whole lot of other muscles. So I'm gonna hang out here for 30 seconds, drink some fluids. Great. Switch legs. Try to isolate that right calf. Anyone that has a lot of issues with shin splints, this would be a good one to do often. Really, all of these are good to do often. Nice job. Flush it out. And then we're going to move on to our hamstrings. So flip back around onto your sits bones, and then take it to the bottom of your right hamstring. Once again, you can use your other leg to dig a little bit deeper into the muscle, but you can always just use the sensation as a guide. You don't necessarily need the most pressure, you just need enough to be able to hit. It's almost like hitting a reset button on your muscle. A little up and down motion helps to smooth out some of that fascia that can kind of get stuck, especially after a really hard workout. Alright. So you might have to spend some time on your hamstring rolling in and out a little bit because your hamstring is really a group of 3 muscles. So it might be on the inside of your hamstring, it might be on the outside of your hamstring, might be smack dab in the middle. Mine's a little bit lower inside. Nice job. Alright, we'll flip over to our left hamstring. One of the other benefits of this is that by searching up and down and looking for some of those trigger points, especially when you do it consistently, you start to notice some of the patterns. So if a certain muscle is always tight in one particular spot, that might be some sort of gait impairment, gait imbalance that you have, or maybe a way that you sit in your car, something that is not entirely equal from side to side. And you can maybe start to tease out some of those in your brain and address them in your day-to-day goings on. Nice job. All right, next we're going to flip and do our IT bands. This is probably going to be the most difficult for a lot of people, particularly because the IT band is not a muscle. It's more connective tissue than anything else, which doesn't get blood flow as regularly, and it is typically a lot tighter. It doesn't respond to this type of thing as readily. That said, it does respond to it over time. So this might be something where you're using a lot of support from your bottom foot or your elbow to not put a lot of pressure on your leg. And it might feel like the entire thing is one big knot. I remember one time in college, they compared my IT bands to guitar strings. So sometimes that can happen. The goal with this is to be consistent with it and prevent guitar string IT bands from happening. So you're gonna go from the top or the bottom of your hip bone, all the way to the top of your knee, and then find probably one or two spots. You can always spend more time here, but I found that when you do it consistently over a long period of time, you really only need about a minute on each leg. And I actually don't really time anything. I just kind of go with the flow, go by feel, especially if I'm just using this while I'm watching TV or something like that, watch an episode of The Office or whatever you got going on, and spend an episode foam rolling, and then you're done. Nice, that wasn't so bad. Alright, flip around, get the other side. And if it helps too, you can put your top leg in front, and I don't know if you can see that right now, but you can bend your other leg. That can kind of help get at a little bit different spots when your musculature and your connective tissues are put in a slightly different position. So as I've kind of mentioned before, it's really important to use your breath as well as just that 30-second guideline, because sometimes you get a really tight muscle like a IT band, or a really tight area like an IT band, and you tense up everything else as well when you're trying to dig into it. So it can be really hard to let that release when everything else is tense. So if your jaw is clenched and you're breathing, you're not really breathing, then chances are that muscle won't release by itself. All right, we're gonna flip over and get our quads. This is a really important one, especially for cyclists who spend a whole lot of time using their quads as the primary movers, and then runners as well who spend a lot of time using their quads as the primary shock absorbers, and especially triathletes who are doing both. So we're going to actually take one leg out to the side, that way we can dig at that muscle a little bit more. Probably the best way to show this. Alright, so you're going to take one leg, my right leg is out to the side, my left quad is on foam roller, and you're going to go from your knee up to your hip flexor. Once again, you can kind of play around with where your foot is at by engaging your hamstring. Sometimes it helps release that front muscle, so it helps release your quad. Once you find a spot, hang out there for 8 to 10 breaths and or 30 seconds. And similar to your hamstrings, your quads are a group of 4 muscle, hence the name quad. So you might need to spend a little bit of time going to the inside, the outside. A lot of people have one particularly right around the top of the knee on the inside. That's where you get a lot of runner's knee, because that part of your quad gets so tight that it pulls your patella, your kneecap, a little bit off track. So that's a good little area to do and focus on as well, especially if you start to develop any tightness in your knee. Great, we're gonna hit the other side, other leg, excuse me. So I'm gonna take my left leg out to the side, start up at the top of my hip, and then roll all the way down to my kneecap, searching for that tight spot. And once I find it, just hang out. Nice job. Okay, so now that we've done most of our lower body, we're going to get our glutes, especially our piriformis, which is a relatively small muscle, but it does a lot of work, especially in runners. So sit on your foam roller, and then you're going to come to a seated figure 4 position, cross your right ankle over your left knee, and your glutes are a series of several muscles. You got your glute medialis, your glute minimus, maximus, and then your piriformis as well. Piriformis is probably the one that is going to be the most beneficial to get to, but you can always spend a little bit of time kind of searching for that right spot. Excuse my cat who's just totally interrupting this video. What you gonna do? Alright, so once you find that spot, hang out there. You can also kind of use your left knee to guide a little bit more movement. Great, so now you're going to switch sides, cross your left foot over your right knee, and same thing, we're going to search around, bring some blood flow to that area. Find your sweet spot, and then breathe into it. This is by far one of my favorite ones. Nice work. Alright, so we have 2 spots left. The first is going to be at the base, or right in between our shoulder blades. So this muscle right here can get really tight from a lot of different things. It can get really tight from a lot of different things, particularly when we're looking at our phones like this, or we're hunched over a desk, or we're sitting and watching TV like this, or even when we're biking in an aero position. A lot of that flexion, it can help to kind of reverse it with a little bit of extension using a foam roller. So take it right in between your shoulder blades, and then you're going to take your hands back behind your neck. Use them to help keep your neck safe. Same thing, you're going to maybe find a few snap, crackle, pops. This is one of the ones that I just absolutely love. Feels really good. You can also use 2 tennis balls that are taped together, duct taped together, and that can kind of help get the musculature a little bit better, simply because you're not focused on your spine, you're focused on the muscle around your spine, so it creates enough space to get that muscle a little bit better. But I don't have 2 tennis balls right now, so that's okay. Another thing that you can do if you want to spend a little bit more time here is take your hands to opposite shoulders, and that opens up the backside of your body a little bit more. It spreads your shoulder blades out so that you have a little bit more surface area to get to, and then you're going to roll a little bit onto one side, find a spot, hang out, and then you can roll onto the other spot. Other side, find a spot, hang out. And the last one we're going to do is get our lats. So you're going to sit sideways on the ground, take the foam roller right kind of to the side of your rib cage, and you're going to roll up and down from the base of your armpit to the base of your rib cage. This is especially good for triathletes who are swimmers. Help create a little bit more range of motion when you're reaching forward in the swim. Plus, if you have too tight of lats, you want strong lats to help pull yourself back, but if they're too tight, then some of that strength is going to be dissipated because you're not going to have enough range of motion. This is one that I find that I have lots of spots on. You can also roll yourself a little bit forward and back. Help to smooth out some of that fascia. Nice job. All right, last side. Foam roller under your left lat. Gonna go up from your armpit all the way down. This is one where you can use your arm a little bit to gauge where the best spot is. You can also just kind of relax into it. Smooth it out. And we're done. Thanks for foam rolling with me. Hopefully you guys liked that video. If you did, give it an actual like in the little box below. Share with your friends, training partners, that sort of thing. And make sure you subscribe for more videos like this that are geared towards helping athletes recover, repair, get stronger, get faster. Yeah, see you guys next time.